The forgotten signal. The Deep Space Monitoring Station Nexus Prime had been silent for 3 days when the signal came through. Commander Elena Vasquez was reviewing supply reports when the communication array suddenly blazed to life with activity she had not seen in months. The signal was weak, distorted, but unmistakably from the Terran exclusion zone. Elena stood quickly from her desk, her coffee mug clattering to the floor. For 50 years, no one had dared enter that region of space. The Terran worlds had been declared dead zones after humanity vanished without explanation, leaving behind empty cities and silent colonies that gave the other species nightmares. Lieutenant Morrison confirmed that signal source. Elena called to her communications officer. The young man's hands moved quickly across his console, his face growing pale as the data streams filled his screens. Commander, it's definitely coming from the old Terra Nova system. The signal is it's human in origin, but the encryption is unlike anything in our databases. Elena felt her heart racing. She had been 17 when the humans disappeared. Old enough to remember their strange ways, their stubborn independence, their refusal to join the Galactic Federation that the other species had formed. The Zephyrians, beings of pure energy, had called humans primitive. The Mordak Empire declared them weak. The Solana merchants found them unprofitable. Most species had been relieved when humanity simply vanished from known space. But Elena remembered differently. She remembered human engineers solving problems that had puzzled alien scientists for decades. She remembered human diplomats who could find common ground between species that had been enemies for centuries. She remembered the look in human eyes when they spoke about protecting what they loved. "Sir, we're receiving a direct transmission request," Morrison reported. It's addressed to you specifically, Commander." Elena took a deep breath. As the ranking officer of the Federation Border Watch, she had authority to make first contact decisions. But this was humanity. This changed everything. Except the transmission. "Route it to my private office." Elena walked quickly down the corridor, her mind racing with possibilities. The station around her was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Zephyrian Energy Cores powered Mordak defensive systems, while Solana trade computers managed resource distribution. It was proof that the galaxy was better unified than it had ever been. But as she entered her office and saw the face appearing on her communication screen, Elena realized how much had been missing from that unity. The human woman looking back at her was perhaps 40 years old, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that seemed to hold depths of knowledge that made Elena feel young despite her own 5 decades of life. The woman's uniform was simple but elegant, made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. "Commander Vasquez," the woman said, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate directly in Elena's bones. "My name is Dr. Marcus Chen's partner in this endeavor, Dr. Sarah Williams. We need to talk." Elena blinked in surprise. "Dr. Chen? The theoretical physicist who disappeared with the rest of your species?" "Marcus sends his regards. He's rather busy at the moment, preparing for what's coming. But I volunteered to make first contact because I specialize in consciousness interface technology." Sarah's expression grew serious. "Commander, we never left the galaxy. We've been here the entire time, preparing." "Preparing for what?" Sarah's image flickered, and for a moment Elena could swear she saw through the woman, as if she were becoming translucent. "For the return of something that tried to devour this galaxy 12 million years ago. Something that the ancient civilizations barely managed to drive away. Something that's coming back." Elena felt the room spinning around her. "The precursor exodus." "You're talking about the precursor exodus?" "The archaeological evidence was always there," Sarah confirmed. "An entire galactic civilization, far more advanced than anything we see today, suddenly vanishing. We found their final messages 53 years ago. Warning messages about the Void Hunters." Elena had studied the precursor ruins during her academy years. Every species had theories about what happened to them, but the evidence was always inconclusive. Entire worlds simply abandoned, their cities left standing but empty, their technology too advanced to understand. "The Void Hunters feed on consciousness itself," Sarah continued. "They consume the life force of entire civilizations, leaving behind empty shells. The precursors discovered that only a unified consciousness field could resist them. They tried to create one, but they ran out of time. And you think humanity can succeed where they failed? Sarah smiled, and for a moment her entire body seemed to glow with internal light. Commander, humanity didn't disappear. We evolved. We've spent 50 years learning to link our minds without losing our individuality. We've discovered that consciousness isn't just something that emerges from the brain. It's a fundamental force of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism. Elena stared at the screen, trying to process what she was hearing. You're saying you've become telepathic? We've become something more than telepathic. We've learned to exist partially outside normal space-time. We can share thoughts, emotions, and experiences while remaining completely ourselves. And more importantly, we can extend this ability to other species. As if to demonstrate, Elena suddenly felt a gentle presence at the edge of her consciousness. It wasn't invasive or overwhelming. It was like having a friend quietly sit beside her, offering comfort without words. She could sense Sarah's emotions, hope, determination, and a deep protective love for all life in the galaxy. You're in my mind, Elena whispered. Only touching the very surface and only with your unconscious permission, Sarah assured her. Commander, the Void Hunters are less than 5 years away. Our long-range sensors detected their approach 18 months ago. We need the help of every species in the galaxy to create a unified consciousness field strong enough to repel them. Elena stood up from her desk, pacing to the window that looked out over the star field. In the distance, she could see the running lights of Mordak patrol ships and the energy signatures of Zephyrian scouts. The Federation had created peace between species that had been enemies for millennia. But what Sarah was suggesting was something far beyond political unity. The other species will never accept this, Elena said finally. The Mordak trust only strength. The Zephyrians consider biological consciousness primitive. The Solani care only about profit. Then we'll have to show them that there's something worth more than strength, more advanced than energy manipulation, more valuable than wealth, Sarah replied. We'll have to show them the power of true cooperation. Elena turned back to the screen. What do you need from me? Permission to enter Federation space officially. And a chance to address the Galactic Council. Elena thought about the political implications. Her career would be over if this went wrong. But as she looked at Sarah's face, she saw something that had been missing from the galaxy for 50 years. She saw hope that was backed by preparation rather than wishful thinking. Dr. Williams, I'm authorizing your entry into Federation space under emergency first contact protocols. But I need to warn you, there are species in the Federation who remember humanity's departure as an abandonment. Some of them are not going to be happy about your return. Sarah's smile was sad but determined. Commander, we left to protect everyone. When the time comes, I hope they'll understand that. But whether they do or not, we won't abandon the galaxy again. The transmission ended, leaving Elena alone with the weight of the most important decision of her career. She walked back to her desk and activated the emergency communication protocols that would reach every member of the Galactic Council within hours. As she began recording her message, Elena realized that everything was about to change. The humans were returning. But they were no longer the same species that had left. They had become something new, something that might be the galaxy's only hope against a threat that had destroyed civilizations before any current species had even evolved. Outside her window, the stars looked the same as they always had. But Elena knew that appearances could be deceiving. Somewhere in the darkness between those stars, humanity had been preparing for a war that would determine the fate of all conscious life in the galaxy. And in less than 5 years, everyone would discover whether 50 years of human evolution had been enough to save them all. The signal from the Terran exclusion zone continued to pulse steadily, carrying with it the promise of reunion and the shadow of an approaching darkness that would test every species in ways they had never imagined. The new humanity. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened on Haven Station, the massive diplomatic complex that orbited the neutral world of Sanctuary. Commander Elena Vasquez had never seen the Great Chamber so tense. Representatives From every major species filled the circular amphitheater, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of sounds, lights, and psychic emanations. Ambassador Kylan of the Zephyrians floated near the center of the chamber, her energy form crackling with barely contained agitation. You expect us to believe that the humans have been hiding in our own space for 50 years? Her voice was like controlled lightning, beautiful and dangerous. General Vorthak of the Mordak Empire slammed his massive fist against his delegation's table. If this is true, it represents the greatest intelligence failure in Federation history. How do we know this isn't some elaborate human trick? Silksinger Nolla of the Solana Merchant Guild remained calm, her forearms moving in the complex gestures that accompanied her tradespeak. The economic implications alone are staggering. If humans have been developing technology in secret, entire market sectors could collapse overnight. Elena stood at the witness podium, feeling the weight of dozens of alien gazes upon her. Honored delegates, I can only report what I've observed. The human transmission came from coordinates that our sensors showed as empty space. Their technology appears to have advanced far beyond anything in our current databases. The great doors of the chamber opened with a soft hiss, and silence fell over the assembly. 3 figures walked into the room with a confidence that seemed to bend reality around them. Elena recognized Dr. Sarah Williams from their earlier conversation, but the woman looked different in person. She seemed more present somehow, as if she existed more fully than everyone else in the room. Beside her walked a tall man with kind eyes and prematurely white hair. This had to be Dr. Marcus Chen, the physicist whose theories about consciousness and quantum mechanics had been considered too radical even by human standards 50 years ago. The third figure was younger, perhaps 30, with skin that seemed to shift between different shades depending on the angle of light. Elena realized with a start that this person was partially phased out of normal spacetime, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Dr. Williams said, her voice carrying clearly to every corner of the vast chamber without amplification. We are here to fulfill a promise we made 50 years ago. General Vorthak stood, his war-scarred face twisted with anger. What promise? You abandoned your colonies and left us to clean up the chaos. Dr. Chen stepped forward, and when he spoke, his words seemed to resonate directly in the minds of everyone present. General, we left to prevent a genocide that would have consumed every conscious being in this galaxy. The chamber erupted in noise as dozens of species tried to speak at once. Dr. Williams raised her hand, and somehow the gesture commanded immediate silence. Elena felt a gentle pressure in her mind, not controlling but calming, like a warm breeze on a troubled day. 53 years ago, Dr. Williams began, human archaeologists made a discovery on the dead world of Kepler 442b. We found a precursor archive that had been sealed for 12 million years. The final recordings of a civilization that spanned this entire galaxy. The chamber's central holographic display activated, showing images that took Elena's breath away. Cities that stretched across continents, ships that could fold space like paper, beings of pure thought that could create matter from imagination. The precursors were everything we aspire to be, Dr. Chen continued. They had achieved perfect harmony between technology and consciousness. They had eliminated war, poverty, and suffering. They were preparing to transcend physical existence entirely. What happened to them? Ambassador Kylan asked, her energy form dimming with what Elena recognized as fascination. The images on the display changed, showing darkness spreading across star systems like spilled ink. The Void Hunters, Dr. Williams said simply. Entities from the spaces between galaxies that feed on consciousness itself. They don't destroy civilizations by conquering them. They devour the very essence of what makes life aware of itself. Elena felt a chill run through her body. The images showed entire worlds becoming empty shells, their inhabitants still alive but hollow, like biological automatons going through the motions of life without any spark of consciousness. The precursors fought back, Dr. Chen explained. They discovered that consciousness isn't just an emergent property of complex brains. It's a fundamental force of the universe. And when conscious beings link their awareness while maintaining their individuality, they create a field that the Void Hunters cannot penetrate. But they failed, Silksinger Nolla observed, her tradespeak indicating deep concern. They ran out of time, Dr. Williams confirmed. The Void Hunters arrived before the precursors could unite their consciousness across the entire galaxy. Most of the population was consumed. The survivors used their remaining strength to drive the Void Hunters back into intergalactic space. The young human who had remained silent until now finally spoke. "My name is Alex Rivera. I'm what you might call a consciousness engineer. I exist partially outside normal space-time, which allows me to sense things that others cannot." As Alex spoke, Elena could see through them, as if they were a ghost becoming gradually more solid. "The Void Hunters are returning. Our deep space monitoring stations detected their approach 18 months ago. They'll reach the galaxy's edge in less than 4 years." The chamber fell silent. Elena could see the fear in every alien face, regardless of species. The Mordak were warriors who feared nothing physical, but this was something beyond the realm of conventional warfare. The Zephyrians were beings of pure energy, but even they could be drained of consciousness. The Solani had trade relationships across the galaxy, but there would be no negotiating with creatures that consumed the very essence of awareness. General Vorthak was the first to speak. "If this threat is real, why didn't you warn us 50 years ago?" "Because 50 years ago, we couldn't have done anything about it," Dr. Williams replied. "The precursor archives made it clear that conventional military force is useless against the Void Hunters. Only a unified consciousness field can repel them. And 50 years ago, none of our species were ready for that kind of unity. What makes you think we're ready now?" Ambassador Kylan asked. Dr. Chen smiled, and suddenly Elena could feel what he was feeling. Not through telepathy or psychic intrusion, but through a sharing of experience that left her individuality completely intact. She felt his deep love for all conscious life, his determination to protect it, and his genuine hope that the species of the galaxy could come together. "Because you've already started," he said. "The Federation itself is proof that consciousness can unite across species barriers. You've created peace between natural enemies. You've learned to cooperate despite fundamental differences in biology and thought patterns." Alex stepped forward, their form becoming more solid as they spoke. "What we are offering is an extension of what you've already achieved. We can teach you to link your consciousness while remaining completely yourselves. No loss of individuality. No surrender of cultural identity. Just a voluntary sharing of awareness that makes all of us stronger." Elena felt the mood in the chamber shifting. The initial fear and anger were being replaced by curiosity and cautious hope. But she also sensed resistance from some quarters. "How do we know this isn't some elaborate human plot to control us?" demanded Councillor Thex of the Rigelian Confederation. Dr. Williams looked directly at him, and Elena saw something that made her throat tighten with emotion. She saw 50 years of sacrifice, of humans living in hidden colonies and isolated research stations, working tirelessly to develop abilities that could save species who had rejected them. "Councillor Thex," Dr. Williams said gently, "if we wanted to control you, we would have done it already. We've been monitoring Federation space for 5 decades. We know your defensive capabilities, your political structures, your economic systems. If conquest was our goal, we could have achieved it years ago. Then what do you want?" Silk Singer Nola asked. "We want to save everyone," Alex said simply. "Including ourselves." Dr. Chen activated a new set of holographic displays. "This is what we've built during our 50 years away from known space." The images showed human colonies unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Cities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, ships that could phase in and out of reality, humans working together with a coordination that seemed almost miraculous. "We've learned to share our consciousness across vast distances," Dr. Williams explained. "A human on one side of the galaxy can instantly share knowledge and experience with someone on the other side. We've eliminated most forms of mental illness by sharing emotional strength. We've accelerated our technological development by linking our creative and analytical capabilities." Asterisk. "But we've remained individuals," Dr. Chen added. "Every human still has their own personality, their own dreams, their own unique perspective. We are not a hive mind. We are a network of independent consciousness that chooses to work together." Elena found herself stepping forward. What would this cooperation look like for the Federation? Alex smiled, and for a moment their form became completely solid. We start small. Voluntary participation only. We teach interested individuals how to link their consciousness with others of their species first. Then, when they are comfortable, we explore cross-species connections. The Mordak warrior who links with others becomes a more effective protector, Dr. Williams explained. The Zephyrian energy being who shares consciousness can manipulate matter and energy in ways that were previously impossible. The Solana trader who connects with others can create economic systems that benefit everyone instead of just a few. General Vorthak looked skeptical but intrigued. You're saying this would make us stronger as individuals? Much stronger, Dr. Chen confirmed. And strong enough as a united galaxy to repel the Void Hunters when they arrive. Ambassador Kylin pulsed with thoughtful energy. What happens if we refuse? The three humans exchanged glances and Elena felt their shared sadness like a weight in her chest. Then we'll do what the precursors couldn't, Dr. Williams said quietly. We'll try to hold the line alone while you evacuate to other galaxies. But honestly, we don't think we can succeed without help. And there may not be anywhere to run to. The Void Hunters have had 12 million years to spread across the universe. The chamber fell silent again. Elena looked around at the faces of representatives from dozens of species, each wrestling with a decision that would determine the fate of their civilizations. Finally, General Vorthak stood. If this threat is real, then we have no choice but to try. But I want proof that your methods work before I ask my people to risk their minds. Dr. Williams nodded. We understand completely. Commander Vasquez, would you be willing to serve as a test subject? Elena felt every eye in the chamber turn toward her. This was the moment that would define not just her career, but possibly the future of the entire galaxy. She thought about the gentle presence she had felt during her conversation with Dr. Williams, the sense of connection without loss of self. Yes, she said firmly. I volunteer. Alex stepped toward her, their form shifting and becoming more translucent. This won't hurt, Commander. You'll just feel like you have very good friends sitting with you. Elena closed her eyes as Alex placed a hand that felt like warm starlight on her forehead. Suddenly, she wasn't alone in her mind. She could feel Dr. Williams's determination, Dr. Chen's compassion, and Alex's playful creativity. But she was still herself, still Elena Vasquez, still the Federation officer who had spent her career building bridges between species. More than that, she could sense the vast network of human consciousness stretching across the galaxy. Millions of minds linked but distinct, sharing knowledge and emotion and experience while remaining completely individual. It was like being part of a cosmic symphony where every instrument played its own unique part while contributing to a harmony that was greater than the sum of its parts. Elena opened her eyes and looked out at the assembly. For the first time in her life, she truly understood what unity could mean. It works, she said simply. And it's beautiful. The vote to begin cooperation with humanity was not unanimous, but it was decisive. As the various delegations filed out to begin the complex process of species-wide consultation, Elena remained behind with the three humans. How long do we really have? She asked. Alex's form shimmered as they consulted their deep space sensors. 3 years, 8 months, 12 days. Give or take a few hours. Elena felt a chill despite the warm presence of the linked human consciousness. Will it be enough time? Dr. Williams placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Commander, 50 years ago we were a species that couldn't even achieve peace on our home world. Today, we exist partially outside space-time and can share consciousness across the galaxy. Never underestimate what people can accomplish when they work together towards something that matters. As Elena looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's great windows, she realized that humanity had given the galaxy something more precious than technology or weapons. They had given them hope backed by preparation and the promise that no species would have to face the darkness alone. The Void Hunters were coming, but they would find a galaxy that was ready for them. Not because it was stronger than before, but because it was finally, truly united.